session where we'll be discussing the role of evidence generated through data on investment in water. At the same time, we'll also be looking at establishing integrated functional sanitation value chain imperatives for Lagos State. We'll have two speakers before I will call on the panelists. The first speaker is Mr. J. Bauer, who I believe must have joined us virtually. So we'll take a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes, for him to give us his presentation. And I would like, when he's giving his presentation, we must pay attention because I want this to be more interactive, not just about the panelists asking them questions. I can also ask one or two people from the floor to also contribute. We want to learn. We want to see that next year, when we come to Lagos for the 4th edition of the Lagos State International Water Conference, we'll be talking about outcomes from this year's event. And that means we'll be signing MOUs, we'll be looking at achievements, based on these 3 years that we have been having this program. So we're not going to come next year discussing the same issue. So we have to come in the next year saying that we have seen private sector participation, we have seen establishing integrated functional sanitation value chain, how imperative it is for Lagos State, and especially how private sector can actually participate in that. So on this note, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I will now call on Mr. J. Bauer to give us his 10 minutes presentation on the role of evidence generated through data on investment in water. Thank you. So while we're waiting for him to join us virtually, we would like Dr. Peter Emmanuel Cookie, who is an expert and has been in the wash sector for many years. And he has a lot of experience. He's been in Netherlands. He's been all over the world trying to see how he can support sustainability when it comes to water and sanitation. Dr. Peter Emmanuel Cookie, thank you.
Thank you. I stand on the existing protocol. So we're looking at the establishing integrated functional sanitation value chains imperative for Lagos State. Is my slide ready? Of course, we know about the sanitation has a service chain and a value chain. One thing we would like to agree at this point is that while we're in the middle of a lot of things we talked about the sewer systems. So one of these, just like Moderator said, one of the foundations we want to lay is that we have more than 90% of our sanitation infrastructure is non-sewer. And also, hello, I'm looking for. But I saw it in the computer. Yeah. Sorry, because there's some information about Lagos that I want us to really grasp, so that I know that when they make water laws, they always talk about sewerage systems and it goes to the water corporation. But there is need to understand the fact that our sanitation systems are non-sewer, and majority of governments, and so which means it requires a different kind of frameworks, a different kind of policies, different kind of standards, and different way of approaching the value chain. In the sanitation value chain, we have the user interface, which is the human toilet. Of course, there has been a lot of research by the gate, 5 or 10 years ago, reinventing the toilet, where Gates Foundation put a lot of money to a lot of research institutes. And happened to be one of those, 2 of those institutes, AIT, Thailand, and IH, try to reinvent the toilet systems. And that has gotten a number of improvements. Still, some of them have been patented, some are even gone into mass production. So, which means the traditional toilet we have today, as time evolves, will not have them. So, the focus of this, so the user interface, which is the toilet we have, the big toilet, the latrines, is water closets. Then you also have the collection. Why is it difficult to just make a PowerPoint that is already there? Can I come and help you? But I can do this on that. So, next slide. Okay, let me stay there and do the presentation. I'll be faster. Let me do it. Okay, so I want to be fast. So, as you can see, so what I'm trying to establish is that with the current population of 55 million, this is about 1 point something million tons of sewage produced every year in Lagos. And if with the 600,000 growth rate per year, we're going to have 10 times what is being produced here. So the question would be, is Lagos State ready to be able to handle those huge number of sewage? And so if it is estimated that 1.5 million people has produced, if an individual produces 1.5 kg of sewage, if you multiply by the population of Lagos, what is the volume of sewage that we currently have? I understand that the current wastewater treatment facility, some of the industrial estate has been upgraded. Of course, it's working by 6%. But the fact we want to lay here is that the sanitation system in Lagos State, like I said before, is dominated by septic tanks, according to the statistics from Lagos State. So you can see the number of septic systems we have and the number that is going through the public toilet. So we have if we have to manage sanitation, then we have to begin to think how we can develop policies, standards to take care of those. So to make this presentation short, that was what I was trying to explain, the sanitation service chain. So you have to capture, we have to store, we have to transport, we have to treat, we have to recover and dispose minimal quantity. But currently, this is a common practice we have. So because the state, I look at Lagos is Lagos State, so with many local government which that point has been stressed by TMA. So with this practice, how can we improve the present situation that the infrastructures are poorly designed, we don't even have, if you check our building code, where we're supposed to have the design of septic tank, it's not there. From when I was doing my research, I noticed that if you go to the building where plans are approved, there's one particular drawing they always copy and paste at the last part of the plan for building. So it's not really, they just copy the number of people and that, they just copy that picture, back it and paste it there. So there's no specific design for specific infrastructures, for specific buildings, specific state, so this will require a lot of work to be done to come up with different specific design of our septic tank for different needs, for different number of occupants, and for different land use. And so you could see that there's still a lot of work to do. Currently now, homeowners, there's no rules. How many times should we dislodge in a year? In Bangladesh, we did a work now, they have a policy of fecal sludge management. So what we produce in Nigeria, this is fecal sludge, not sewage, because they are not passing through pipes. In Bangladesh, every household is expected to dislodge every 6 months. What is the requirement here? Sorry. So, if a truck discharge this is about 5,000 people is doing open defecation. So when any truck is do this, just know that it's about 5,000 people, and that's what our friend from Smith talked about this morning. We have to capture these are resources. So the challenge, which are complex, and we don't want. There's so many service providers coupled with unsustainable services. The institutional and governance frameworks are not clear, and so because it's not clear, nobody knows who to do what and what to be done. So we expect that one of the input from this workshop, from this company, will be that we need to now come down and confront the issue of how do we design our non-sewer system, which is the predominant infrastructure in the state, to function properly. So the challenges continue, and the most important thing is that if we manage sanitation from the value chain perspective, we will find out that there's going to be more coordination, there's going to be more cleaner environment, and each of the value chain stages, there are operators, there are enterprises that operate on those stages. There are enterprises that operate in designing the toilet, the enterprise that operate in collection, the enterprise that operate in treatment. We should be able to identify those. So one of the studies will be which of these enterprises are involved in the capturing, which are those involved in storage. We need to be able to who are those involved in transportation, what are treatment. So what should be the standards for capturing? What should be the standard for storage, transportation? So we need to do, so one of the studies we recommend is to be able to tease out these points to the barest minimum. This was a study that was done in Dakar, Senegal, to show how fecal sludge flows into the environment. We call this a sheet flow diagram. We need to do one for Lagos State. Let's know, because we don't have to just make policies without numbers on evidence, on studies. So thank God that I've seen a lot of centers in Unilag and in LASU. So we can be able to do some of these sheet flow diagrams to be able to know what is the quantity of sewage that are properly treated in Lagos. What is the quantity that goes not treated? We need to know. So that when you are designing, when you want to get equipment from Simon Moo, you'll be able to know what you are getting from the quantity, the quality, the size, so that you don't have a system like, someone was talking about for that. They put a sewage treatment plant for fecal sludge treatment, and it didn't last for 6 months because the parameters, total dissolved solid in a fecal sludge is higher than in a sewage, because in a fecal sludge, a lot of things come inside. But in a sewage treatment plant system, you move through and all those things. So we need to know how the shit flows in Lagos. So then that takes us to the point of the value chain. There's a book that is about the probably next month. Value chain. So we show that where households can pay and where if the infrastructures are provided, those empty can pay, and also that shows you the various levels where money can be earned in the sanitation systems. So we need to also identify these stages in Lagos State to be able to know how much should an empty, how often, what is the size. So of course, if you look at the traditional value chain, it's a market-based approach, and we look at how we can incentivize people to invest in the value chain. And also, one of the greatest resources, like Simon talked about this morning, was the fact of resource recovery. When there's a lot of resources can be recovered in the process of managing the service chain. But there's a study that World Bank did in Senegal too, which I think that process is very important. How you can design your system is not moving. So there's a certification process for emptying of companies. So the policy should know how do you certify people that will be involved. There's also how the public-private partnership model then also how to guarantee funds that support commercial lending. Then they also a communication information sharing system where people can call in and you book for services. There's also mobile money transfer facilities. All these has been tried. That's why each time we talk about Senegal, these models have been tried, and some of these things can be adopted for use in Lagos State. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. And also, so in the integrated functional sanitation value chain, we want to integrate all the aspects of sanitation, from even the designers, the researchers, the producers, the processors, and those that will buy, so that you have a clear picture of who is participating and what are the benefits. Of course, the sanitation economy by the toilet board has shown us the toilet economy, the circular sanitation economy, which is talking about the recovery, and the smart sanitation economy, which is not talking about the use of IT in improving service delivery. We're talking about lunch. Why people have to trek a long distance to pay for water rate? Why you can even stay in your house and pay for electricity and recharge your phone? So can we adopt some of those smart technology to improve this the value chain of sanitation? So conceptually, what we're trying to say here is that we can make sanitation more attractive, involve manufacturers, we can involve the service providers, we can involve those involved in biomass recovery, and then we can improve the delivery of the services. But the most important thing is that and finally, policies are very important. These are elements: financial, regulatory capacity, institutional awareness is very important. We cannot do without awareness. So one of the areas to start to be the area of awareness. And then the components of what to be involved in improving non-sewer sanitation system is already provided there, and then we can say that if we're able to do all this, at least define the standards, procedures required for the service and value chain in Lagos State, and then look at the enabling environment. The governor told us this morning that there's a political will. So can we fly in that? And improve the level of sanitation in Lagos State. Thank you. So the recommendations are there.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Cookie, for this very brilliant presentation. And he has really taken it through both the circular economy aspect of it. And I was very impressed with the sheet flow diagram, which Lagos State. Let's see whether we can now get the next speaker, Mr. J. Bagwan. Mr. J. Bagwan, I understand that your topic is very, very important, the role of evidence generated through data. It's not online. It's not still online. Okay, without wasting so much time, can we have the panelists please to take your seat here? Is Dr. Edwin Isotu, who is the technical lead, Public Health and Environment, World Health Organization. He will join us online virtually. The next is Engineer Mrs. Muslimat Sani Anibere, the principal. Mr. Nick Tony Mawineme, Simon Musdelman, we heard it very clearly this morning. Very brilliant presentation. The man that has the solution to all the shit in Lagos State. Engineer Adebola Matami, the GM, Lagos State Wastewater Management Office. Can we now have Dr. Peter Emmanuel Kuki to also join them in the panel? Okay. I'm going to start with Engineer Mr. Nick Tony Mawenema from Simons, Denmark. This morning, you said quite a lot in terms of what can be a solution for Lagos State to be able to get involved in seeing that Lagos State becomes the sanitation system in Lagos State, can be dealt with. We understand how complex that is. If we look at the presentation by Dr. Cookie, you can see that, yes, let's don't go back into political will. Let's assume that from the presentation and the speech of Mr. Governor, that in the next couple of weeks, we'll start seeing stronger political will in water sanitation sector in Lagos State. So let's assume that that is there. We are not going into making sure that we get involved. What do you think would be the approach that your company in Denmark, Simon Moose, will adapt based on what the presentation that Dr. Kukino has given, in making sure that your partnership with Lagos State and maybe other private sector, because you cannot do it alone as a private sector individual from Denmark, what would be the role of your organization in partnering with Lagos State to create a sanitation economy, just like what Dr. Kukino has said? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the word. We have been actually thinking about it, how we can get in market if that chance was experience what we do to see how together we can actually move forward. That was one of the reasons why I can actually confirm the fact that we have signed a MOU with a local partner to try to address those issues, because we know that from Denmark and to do it there without any local partner, it could be challenging. And that was one of the reasons why we have been in contact with some of the people, and one private company from Lagos, who was also part of the delegation who visited Denmark last time. They actually decided to move forward with us because we could all of us see the challenge. I've just mentioned the fact that we have got some experience with some other countries like Ivory Coast. They met us just during one exhibition in Europe. What they saw, just after 2 weeks, they sent one delegation to Denmark. And when they came, they could see how the system works. And after some time, the material, those equipment were actually delivered to Abidjan. And now I can confirm some of the pictures you saw during the presentations are the reception center from Ivory Coast. Today, dealing with the sludge which was actually dumped into the water, now on site. We want actually to try to bring to other country like Lagos. I've been here just for information sometime, 2 times, and where we have actually discussed it with some authorities here, and we were hoping that they can also see how important the case it is. I think the moderator wants to say something. Yeah. So yeah, so what I was saying, because we came for the first time, when we met also people from Lagos to wastewater, to try to show them what we do. Now we are very pleased that there are some other actors trying to get in so that together we can see how we can move forward. But the point is, those systems, they don't take much more space. They are easy to install. From today, within the next, let's say the next 2 weeks, 4 to 8 weeks, we are actually capable of placing some units, some places around Lagos, and get them actually started so that the sludge can start to be treated properly instead of putting it into the water.
I don't know whether I can speak without the microphone. Yeah, okay. Now, still on you.
Yeah.
And looking at your success story in Sanitation, we'll talk about the funding. And the fecal sludge system or the system and it fund itself. Are you willing to invest, believing that you will be able to get the return on your investment from the water, the sludge that you can use for organic manure? And in case of Lagos State, you have to now bring it back to Lagos State. Because remember, people pay money for their fecal sludge to be evacuated.
Yes.
And people are willing, if we have, from our discussions since yesterday, we have very strong regulatory framework that mandates the truck owner to pay when they dump a particular amount of money. How can you tell Lagos State that with that you can self-fund the project without the government having to put money inside it? Or if they put in a particular amount of money to take off, are you able to generate enough funds for operational efficiency, apart from the capex, the capital expenditure and the OPEX in terms of the system itself?
Yes.
In 1 minute.
it can be project regarding sanitation. Right now we're in contact with some of the customer to be who are trying to use that possibility so that that fund there can try to cover the funding. That's one thing. Another thing, if I can speak very quickly, because we are also well known of the Bill Gates Foundation. They know what we are doing. They have been aware of that. They went to Ivory Coast to visit some of the center there. So it's also, they are open to see what they can do if there's a project to be. So just those two things.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And let me turn to Mrs. Muslimat Sani Anibere. You have worked in the sector for years. And who will you consider to be the government support? Which area do you think that the government needs to?
What did you watch? Off your.
How will this one affect?
Oh, it's when you went there, like everybody was surprised. Not because of it.
You are a professional.
I did.
Okay. Now, what do you think would be the role of the government? Our friend from Denmark has spent so much time saying that it is possible. I'll still come back to him and to Dr. Nino. But what do you think would be the role of the government in making sure that they create that enabling environment, believing that it is possible? Because most times what we say is that the government do not really believe that it can be self-funded. And I will still come back to the self-funding aspect without any support from any development partners or any agencies. What do you think that the government should do, the realistic effort that the government should put in place to be able to see all the presentations that we have had today, even yesterday, there are all possibilities. We have the crisis, we have the challenges, everybody keeps on talking about government. What do you think that the government can do at this stage? That they have had a lot in the area of provision of safely managed sanitation and systems in Lagos State.
Thank you very much, Mr. Victor. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah. First thing I would want to just clarify. Is that in Lagos, I will divide the sanitation systems into three. We have the sewage systems, that is networked from homes. We have the septage treatments, that evacuation from septic tanks are being taken to a particular place for treatment. Then we have the sludge, that is the sediments after either on-site or sewerage. So, for your question, I would say the enabling environment just needs a policy, a legal framework, and an effective regulatory framework. Outside those ones, I think the sanitation value chain is very, very valuable. I'll come from the septic point of view. In Lagos State, we have 5 septic treatment plants that are not that effective, and they are being handled by the private sector. The management, operation and maintenance and management of those septic tanks, the septic treatment plants are by the private sector. But funding is a major issue. You have the private sector managing those septic treatment plants. But Lagos, if you look at it, Lagos has about 90 or 90-something% on-site treatment, septic tank and the soak away. Now, when this septic tank is filled, it is evacuated by trucks. I know to a level, regulation and coordination of those trucks are in place legally. It is evacuated by trucks and taken to the septic treatment plants. But what happens in the septic treatment plants? That's another issue. I won't want to go into that. So, for the private sector to come in, I think the government of Lagos State is more than prepared. From my own experience in the water and the wastewater sector of the state, we have those facilities that are not up to what we expect them to be. We have the challenges of effective effective regulation. Now, if we have the policy, we have the law, and we have the regulatory framework that is effective and efficient, I think it's a gold mine for investors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer Mrs. Moslima Sani Adibiri. At this stage, I would like us to go outside Nigeria to welcome Zachary Buzz from USID, Washington, D.C., who are joining us virtually. And we are sorry for some technical challenges that we're having here. So, let me go straight away. USID has been supporting the Global Water Efficiency Campaign. I know this for the fact that in Sanitation Water for All, which is a global organization, where we head office in New York, is an organization that also believes that it's through multi-stakeholders collaboration that we'll be able to deal with the challenges of water, sanitation, and hygiene. USAID has played a very main global part in supporting. What do you perceive as some of the biggest challenges regarding the sanitation investment gaps in Lagos State from the USAID point of view?
Yeah, thank you so much for allowing me to join virtually. It's an honor to be on this panel. Can everyone hear me properly? Okay, I think I can't hear you, but I think you have confirmed that you can hear me. So no problem. I will continue then. USAID is... oh, now everything is black. Can you still hear me?
We can hear you, we can see you.
Okay, all right. I can't see you anymore, but that's okay. Yes, I think that I would just echo what other panelists have already said in terms of, first off, the need for data to have more information. I think the proposal to put together an SFD or shed flow diagram for Lego State is a fantastic first start. I think we need to understand exactly where materials are flowing, and beyond that, also for each of the stakeholders in all of the different locations around Lego State, what are their challenges, what are their current operations, and how can we best support them and work together with them in order to improve the overall on-site system and fecal sludge management system. And I think that in order to do that, there's some key interventions that USAID is interested in looking at, just based on past work that we've done through the WashPals research activity. So this is looking at, first and foremost, as I've said, collecting information, doing formative research, then also using that information in order to do appropriate product design, but then also working with the private sector in order to help them to do sales and marketing, ensuring that there is a sustainable delivery model, and working with the finance sector in order to make sure that there's access to finance, both for households who need it, but also for entrepreneurs that are looking to invest in the system overall. I don't know if that sort of starts to get at your question a little bit, but hopefully we can continue the discussion from there.
I said that your shift diagram is great and something that we have to see in Lagos State. I'm still trying to find out whether within the sanitation circular economy, do you think it can be self-funded? I remember I put that question to my friend from Denmark. He was talking about the Danish government trying to support. I'm trying to look at it from the private sector point of view. And if a private sector says, I need a space to build a sanitation facility, they can collect money from methane gas, they can generate organic manure. How do you think that the private sector will be able to gain and be able to get return on their investment? Support one way or the other, or the
value chain come in itself.
Can you hear us? Can you see? I don't know whether he heard, whether he. Now we are waiting for Mr. Zakari to.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, Mr. Zakari, did you hear the question?
No, I did not.
Did you hear my question?
No, I
No.
just started hearing you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, but I did not hear the question.
Can you hear me? Just nod if you can hear me so that I will know. I don't think you can hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Did you hear the question before? No?
I did not.
Okay. What I'm saying is that the e-wash program was a success in Nigeria, but I think the USID focused more on the water side. I mean the water side. On the sanitation side, is USID willing to have a pilot project either in partnership with a private sector organization like the Danish company, whereby we can start collecting data that we don't have at the moment, that will create opportunity for private sector participation. Because private sector, some of them, they don't want to take risk. They just want to be sure that there is money to be made at the end of the day. So they need data. So is this something that USID is willing to do, having a pilot project in Lagos State to see how effective it's going to be for private sector participation with obviously the generation of the required data? Thank you.
I can also hear myself. I cannot say that USAID would immediately fund a pilot project per se, but what I can say is that USAID is certainly in support of the private sector and would be looking for ways to foster a pilot project to happen. So looking at providing technical assistance, working with the local government in order to use our convening power to bring together stakeholders, to identify what are the barriers preventing a pilot project from happening, and working together in order to try and find a solution to overcome those barriers. So certainly USAID is interested in looking into those directions in Lagos State, in the sanitation sector.
Thank you so much. Please, I think we're running out of time now. My question will go to Engineer Mrs. Muslima Sani because you've been in the sector. We have had several wastewater, civil water treatment systems in the past, and I believe that some of them packed up because of lack of operational efficiency. What do you think the government will be needing for them not to go back to what happened that made some of those sewage systems to go down, over a period of time?
Well, I will still go back to the governance instruments. Governments, including support agencies, support organizations like World Bank and the rest, are really invested a lot of money in the water and wastewater system because just like we have heard over time. But what are the challenges? When the water sector does not even have a policy, the water sector does not have a coordinated legal framework to support its activities. The water sector and wastewater sector does not have an efficient regulatory structure. So the government just put up a plant with millions of dollars, put some civil servants there to operate and maintain, and you get to a stage, the cost of maintenance, nobody's coming in. Everybody believes, you ask some residents, where is your shit going? They don't even know, because they don't pay for it. They just use those facilities, is social. So how do you now recoup the money you are spending, the millions of dollars being spent every year? You pay salaries of civil servants working there. The people using facilities are not paying anything. Definitely, there is no gain to just run down. Government has about 5 sewerage plants, proposing to have a septic plant in each of the local governments. That's 28 days and 37 days, that's 57. That's why I said there's a lot of opportunities for investment. Presently they have 5 septage partially working. And it's sustainable. It's being given out to the private sector, they are running it and they are making their money. But we know that the quality of operations there is not what is expected. These pathogens are still being sent into the environment. There are a lot of issues that are though capital intensive, but they are good business opportunities. We can go on and on and on. There are several sectors too, that there's sludge management, because I want to separate sewage from septic and from sludge. But eventually, these sewage treatment plants and septic plants generate sludge. Are these sludge being managed? No one is managing it, they just start them in bags and throw them on the roads or put them in big drainages, and it eventually ends up in the water bodies. So what are we saying? Is this sludge treatment? Is this septic? Is this sewage? There are huge investment opportunities. Government should just provide the enabling environment and good business on this.
I think just in 1 minute, allow them to have that. Just in 1 minute, our friend from Denmark, what would be your final advice to Lagos State and the support you feel that your organization will give to Lagos State in 1 minute before we have to wrap up?
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm coming here for the 3rd time. I was here 2 times, just I think last November and in March, because I could see how huge is the opportunity here and how things can be done differently. We have got a chance to visit some of the septage that Madam is actually mentioning, and of course, quality, yeah, it's not something we have to say here. We think, I believe that with the know-how from Cyprus for more than 50 years, what we have been doing, and some of what we have been doing with some other African countries, Cyprus can easily bring something here where we can do the things in the proper way. And we believe also that if the need is there, as the consulate mentioned it yesterday, there are some Danish agency willing to come with funding if necessary. We will just have some requirements, some paper we need, so that we can move forward. This pilot project could be something to show how things can be done. I will just go back again to show in a simple way, that reception center I showed during the presentations. It doesn't take space. It's just so simple. There on site, the trucks are coming, the sludge is being treated, the sludge is being treated furthermore to be a fertilizer on site. And it can take like up to, 300 sometimes cubic per day, some of them. You can actually time 1 time, 2 times 3 to do the things the way normally it should be done when you prevent pathogen and all those things. So we are ready if here we can get that support. Yeah.
Mine is just to say that there are now information published supported by Gates Foundation. I worked in those 2 institutions on fecal sludge management that shows the difference between fecal sludge and sewage. Those informations are free online. You can download it. It's on fecal sludge management. There's another one on testing for lab, so that it's online. Just go put those titles, you will see them, download it, take it to your lab, and you will see that the procedures for the analysis are quite different from the normal sewage analysis. So we have to begin to understand it. I understand what Madam is saying, but I'm also coming from a cutting-edge research institute in IHL, where these books are now published. They are there. Our engineers have to get themselves familiarized with these things now, because what is muddling up the whole system is we take fecal sludge add together with sewage management, and then why those systems will not work is because they were meant for sewage treatment. And when you put fecal sludge in the sewage treatment plant, Port Harcourt did not last for 6 months. It will crash. there's too much of sand, the stick, there's so many things inside. Why a sewage treatment plant will not work for fecal sludge. Those informations are there. Let's go online, download them as much as you want to download. We can also support to facilitate training on fecal sludge management. He's talking about Cote d'Ivoire. I was in Abidjan last week. Burkina Faso, Senegal. We are supposed, and we are the giant of Africa. Unfortunately, we are behind information. So can we use this? One of the things this can capture is to retrain or re-educate our people on the difference between fecal sludge and sewage management. Then we can be able to now, because if you bring his system, the system is for safety. Your system is for take off. So we can be able to now. Then if you want to talk about recovery, EMI is in Ghana. They can recover it for you. IITA is in Ibadan here. IITA can do that. I have worked with all those institutes. So what we are looking at Sokoto is in our Sokoto. Thank you.
Okay, because of time, I would like to thank especially Zachary Bott, USID Washington DC, and for making our time to join this meeting. We have captured some of your contributions, and we definitely will come back to you. I want on this to also thank USAID for all their contribution in Nigeria. They've done quite a lot. I've been involved and following them all in Delta State, in Taraba State, in the 5 or 6 pilot states where they have actually provided support. And they don't only do this in Nigeria, they also do this globally. I would like to also thank the Lagos State government for actually realizing that they cannot do it alone. And that is why this meeting is very important. They need help, they need support, and they are willing to create the policy, the regulatory framework that will create the enabling environment for the private sector to participate. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll definitely keep in touch. And by next year, we will sign an MOU. Not talk about policy and regulation anymore. We'll be doing the real business. Thank you. Good job. Okay, we'll do it downstairs.
Who gets their phone? This is our phone. Or you can later capture it.
Do you have an iPhone?
Oh, yeah, please. Okay. I'm sorry.
First, the big guys with start first.
We can hear the broadcast.